So here I was, I did my grad degree and I did this great research and I was so proud of it. And I thought, hey, I just send it off there, I publish it, that's my job as a scientist, and then policymakers will use it to make decisions and that's not my problem. And things will be hunky-dory after that. Well, of course, that's not the way the world works. And I heard that model of science described by Chuck Redmond at Arizona State University as UPS science. You know, the idea that scientists just do their research and then they like back the truck up, beep, beep, beep. You know, they kind of unload it at the policymaker's door and then they drive off again. My job is done. Well, it doesn't work very well. It doesn't lead to actual changes in the way that society functions. So when I went to Minnesota, I found a really different model of engaging the public and policymakers that folks there were working on. And it really intrigued me. And I think that there, at least a group of people in Minnesota take their position as a land-grant university very seriously, and that they feel a real conviction that they should be doing research that is relevant to the needs of the state, is relevant to the needs of the citizens of the state. And one of the projects we worked on was called, and we're still writing it up, it's called Minnesota 2050. And it was a project that tried to generate leadership capacity around the state by having people think creatively about the future, about multiple possible alternative futures, and then figure out how they could position their organizations and their communities to be resilient in a variety of possible futures. And my role in that was to provide some quantitative modeling to help show people some of the trade-offs between different variables, different components of the futures. So this is me, talking to the group. And the way that the modeling was done was not the typical, okay, we did this model, here it is, here's the results, and you guys use it. It was more of an interactive. I would bring them some preliminary results, and they would say, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. How did you do that? And I would explain it to them, and they'd say, well, why don't you put this in there? And so we went back and forth at least 2 times doing that. And I learned so much from that experience, and that's something that I really appreciated. And then this is the statewide workshop that we did at the end. And at this table, I don't know all these people, but one of them is a state senator. One is Peter Reich, a forest ecologist at the University of Minnesota, the director of the Regional Sustainable Development Partnerships in Minnesota, and a hazelnut farmer, and a couple of other people. And they're all talking together about the future. And it's a really interesting model to use, and much more engaging, leading to real change in the way people view the system compared to the UPS model of science. So that's something that I'm really passionate about exploring in the future, about integrating modeling with very participatory decision-making processes. So, and this is kind of, I guess, my personal feeling in addition to my scientific feeling, that I think we have a kind of window of time here in which we can tackle some of the big issues that we're facing as humanity, including climate change being one of the biggies. And to do that, we really need to get beyond the traditional way that we think about things. We really need to be integrating knowledge from a lot of different places, from a lot of different scientific disciplines, from the public, from policymakers. So the old ways of doing things are not going to work. And I'm really glad that it seems that there's a group here at Michigan State that agrees with that and is trying to move forward in different ways of doing research. Oh, and I should mention that 2 of the projects I'm working on right now with folks at University of Minnesota are trying to do this kind of thing, trying to integrate different streams of knowledge from the academy and from folks out in the quote, real world. One of them is looking at land use in the upper Mississippi River corridor that runs between the Twin Cities and St. Cloud in Minnesota, and looking at how local planners make decisions about siting different things and how that affects the water quality of the Mississippi River, and trying to do some modeling that is relevant and timely that they can use to make decisions, but that also reflects more of the values of the community in which they're seated, and is done over an iterative way, so that they tell us what they need, we go back to them, and we learn from each other. And the other projects that we're looking at water sustainability in Minnesota, so maybe a little bit similar to what you're doing, and looking at different alternate futures and how those could affect the water sustainability of Minnesota. Well, Nobody else put up their personal pictures, but I just decided I should do this because some of these people you may see around campus, and I also wanted to thank them because these are the people that have supported me throughout my academic journey. So one of these people is my husband Michael up there in front. These are my siblings, Kristen, Evan, and Melanie. Kristen's back there. She's a graduate student in fisheries and wildlife. These are my parents, and this is the Marcelino family who basically made the work I've done in the Philippines so far possible. And I'm hoping to go back there and work in the Philippines again. So they're wonderful folks. And these are my kind of academic mentors over the years who I've been very privileged to work with. And all of you guys here, I'm looking forward to working with you as well. And here's the crowd pleaser photo. These are all the cute kids. None of these kids are mine, but they're all in my life in some way. And, you know, I think we really need to reflect deeply on the future that we're facing, and hopefully that will change the way we do things in the present, because, you know, it's these people that are going to inherit, you know, the world that we're leaving. So we need to think about what kind of world it's going to be.